Welcome back to Rainbow Presents Body and Mind. Now, giving birth to a new life isn't just a life-changing experience to the woman, but also one that is full of responsibilities and meticulous planning. So today at IK, I'm joined by Dr. Rashi, who's going to give us some valuable tips for mums-to-be. Dr. Rashi, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Now, there are so many websites, blogs, magazine articles out there that tell you what to do, what not to do. It almost eliminates the role of a doctor in your life. So tell us, is there any such thing as too much awareness these days when it comes to pregnancy?
Well, thanks Aishwarya. First of all, let me tell you, motherhood is such a boon, it's a blessing from God. So as a patient has her own right to read about everything. But still, I do tell my patients to keep the Google away from the medical degree.
Yeah.
They can read about it, but when it comes to thorough advice, they need to see their healthcare physician for that.
What are some of the most common concerns that mums-to-be have?
As a new mom-to-be, there are certain things which need to be taken care of, like when you enter pregnancy, the nutrition facts, what you're taking, what's your diet, what's your BMI, the body mass index, what weight are you entering pregnancy, how about any alcohol, smoking, any do's and don'ts.
Right, yeah. So I'd like to speak about each of these that you just mentioned. Let's start with nutrition. You know the old saying that I'm pregnant, so I have to eat for two, which always sounded a bit bizarre to me. Is it a myth?
Yes, it is a myth.
Okay, you've heard it now.
There are many patients who do come and say me, doctor, I'm pregnant, so do I need to eat for two? At this point of time, I tell them that in pregnancy in general, the increase in calorie requirement is just 200 to 300 calories. Having said that, it just means 1 or 2 portions of food, extra food, what you're normally taking. And that too, in the first 2 to 3 months, your calorie requirement does not increase. And because of nausea and vomiting, you don't feel like eating. I tell my patients at those 3 months to eat in order to satisfy their appetite. Very important at that point of time, in addition to what they are eating, is how often they eat. Important advice is not to remain hungry for long periods of time. They should be eating every 2 to 3 months. Try to balance their diet into 3 major meals.
You mean every 2 to 3 hours?
Yes, every 2 to 3 hours, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So try to balance their diet in 3 major meals like breakfast, lunch and dinner, and in between healthy snacks. Healthy snacks can be anything from low-fat yogurts, fruit and vegetable sticks, smoothies, fresh fruit juices. And in the 2nd and 3rd trimester, that means as your pregnancy advances, the calorie requirement do increase because of the growing requirements of the baby. At that point of time, you need to eat a little bit more, but not for 2.
Not for 2.
Yeah, right.
Just a little bit more.
A little bit more,
Now,
yes.
doctor, you mentioned the things that you're supposed to eat. What are the things that you absolutely should not eat during pregnancy?
In pregnancy, we generally advise the patients to take as much healthy and fresh stuff as possible. There are certain things which we advise not to take. One of them is raw food, raw meat, and raw eggs. Another is some fruits. Now there are certain notions, certain studies, nothing is proven, but there are some fruits like papaya and pineapple in which they have been shown to have some bad effects for the baby. So in general, we advise the patients not to take those fruits.
Okay, and of course alcohol and smoking.
Alcohol and smoking is absolute no. Foods which contains MSGs, that also we advise the patients not to take.
Okay. So that's nutrition. Now what about exercise? Because you see so many of these prenatal and postnatal routines that have come up. Do you have to just do prenatal and postnatal exercises, or can you just continue your regular sort of exercise routine?
See, the role of exercise in pregnancy is as important as nutrition in pregnancy. These days, there are many patients who enter pregnancy while they are very active. So if you have been exercising, let's say 4 to 6 months prior to getting pregnant, you can continue some of those exercises after talking to your healthcare provider. And out of those, the strenuous exercises are usually avoided in the first 3 months.
Now, when you say nothing too strenuous, because the term strenuous can vary from patient to patient. So, what about like heavy boot camp exercises like jump squats, jumping, kicking, and all of those things?
See, Ishwar, anything related to jumping as such is avoided because of the risk of falls and the ligament laxation, which happens later on, which can increase the back pains and other aches.
Okay, all right. Now, doctor, we've covered nutrition, exercise. What about the different pills? Because you don't want to turn into a hypochondriac during pregnancy and just keep popping vitamins which you might not even require. So what's the right way to go about it?
The FDA recommends in pregnancy, folic acid 5 milligrams should be taken, vitamin D should be taken in the daily required doses. These are for the first 3 months. Subsequently, depending upon a patient's needs, iron and calcium has to be added.
Yeah.
So these are the 4 multivitamins and minerals which have to be taken care of.
So that's the key word, depending on the patient's needs. So there's no such thing as one size fits all. So don't let magazine articles and blogs confuse you. Always consult a proper qualified doctor for your medical concerns. Dr. Rashi, thank you so much for joining me.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, doctor. Some great tips there by Dr. Rashi. Time now for a quick break. When we come back, there's lots more coming up on Rainbow Presents Body and Mind.